Whoa, everybody. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. It's real vile time, babies. That's right. It's the G to the E to the R to the M. The T stands for the, but you already knew that. And we're about to rip it up in a modern way. So it's got to be Mr. Germ T. Ripper. And of course, we got the Tower of the Hour, the Princess of Power, Miss Killer Kelli Miller. Hey, Killer Kelli Miller, tell the people what's really going on.
What is going on, peoples? Peoples
That's
of
what I
Real
like to
Violin.
hear, indeed. And there's the Prime Minister, the Sinister, Mr. Ruthless Chris. Ruthless Chris, tell these people what's really going on.
What's really going on is I'm really glad I'm not dealing with intergalactic globules and or slimes.
Yes.
And on that note, our feature presentation for this episode is 1988's remake of The Blob. And it's going to be a good one, baby, because this is a classic. And you haven't seen it? Well, we're going to talk about it, and you're going to enjoy listening to it. But before we get to that, hey, what have you guys been up to?
Well, it's been, we took a week off because all four of us, including producer Peapod, were all out in Chicago. We all got to see each other actually in person. Which was nice, but we had animosity out there in Chicago. Aside from that, we had a friend in from out of town the other day. We went over there and visited him and saw some old friends. Watched a bunch of crappy movies. It's been real nice. So I took the dog to the park today, did all kinds of parkly shenanigans. Yeah, I mean, aside from that, just also getting ready for Jersey.
Jersey City, baby. It's going to be a good time all the time. Killer Kelli, anything new or exciting with you?
Yeah, I mean, basically, in addition to what he said, like, we had a good time in Chicago. Him and I seen an old friend that I haven't seen in a good fucking decade. I guess he's a listener sometimes, so hey, Eric. But, fucking, yeah, I got a tattoo. I got me a tattoo. I cashed in my pie wrestling monies. Yeah, you can see I ripped off the Saniderm like yesterday, and I'm still trying to get the sticky off. There. But yeah, it's like a tribute tattoo to someone close to me that I lost a few years back. So that I've been wanting to get for a while. Cashed in my pie wrestling earnings on this one because I won that gift certificate. Yeah, so it's been a pretty good week.
Very, very cool. Sounds like good times indeed. Yeah, I didn't do too much myself, had a few friends over to watch some movies. I won't talk about them because I already talked about them at length. We watched Bad CGI Sharks and Tiny Cinema, which, I love both movies, so I had to share them with the Creepy Kids Club. Other than that, I took Ken out for his birthday, which was nice. Had a nice meal together. But, hey, let's get this train rolling so we can talk about 1988's The Blob. Chug, chug, chugga, chugga, chug, chug, chugga, chugga, chug, chug. Here comes that real vile train, terror train chugging down the tracks. Killer Kelli Miller, what you been watching, baby?
I watched 2 Australian movies this week, and I wasn't even trying to watch Australian movies. It just turned out that way. The first one was a pretty fucking good one. It's a brand new one. Well, I think it's brand new here, but it came out in 2022 there. It's called Monolith. This one was actually more of like a conspiracy theory, paranoia thriller with aliens. It's an alien movie. It followed this girl. It's actually Lily Sullivan, who you know from Evil Dead Rise. She is the only actress in this movie that you actually see anyway. The rest of them are all phone calls, basically. And I didn't realize that until I was like reading reviews and shit later. I was like, oh shit, it was like this movie was that good where you didn't even like consider that fact. But anyway, it follows Lily Sullivan's character. She's a journalist. Something happened. She's out of work, and she's starting this podcast called Beyond Believable, where she's just basically looking up weird shit and trying to get a good story, trying to like solve mysteries or some paranormal crazy shit. And she gets this anonymous email with this woman that connects her. She tells her to get a hold of this other lady. Well, you don't even know that it's a woman. I say it's an anonymous email, but she tells her to get a hold of this lady who received this brick. And that's where the whole story starts. It follows these weird bricks, and like they talk about them being powerful, and this whole like conspiracy theory develops around these bricks. I don't want to get too far into it, but these are like you start thinking they're otherworldly, and this movie was just really like captivating. The way the story builds, like it really like pulls you into what's going on with these bricks. And it gets you into like a government conspiracy, an alien conspiracy in a little bit. Like it's and then she's like connected with this art dealer who has a bunch of these bricks, and he starts talking about the power of them. And then this weird shit starts happening. Like I said, I can't get too far into it because that's one of the great things about this movie is like the mystery that builds up into it. I found the ending a little bit confusing personally. I want to watch it again, or I want to watch it with Chris because he's really good at like analyzing these sort of things. But all in all, man, it was a solid alien movie. And like I said, like not even realizing there was only one actor on the screen like throughout the entire movie was like they did that very well. It was very well done. I give this 4, 3.5, 4. I thought it was great.
4 stars, the Monolith. And what is this streaming on?
You can rent it on Amazon right now. I think it's like $5.99 or $6.99.
Very cool. Sounds like a winner chicken dinner. Chris, have you seen the Monolith?
I've not, but it's been suggested a few times to me by a few people whose opinions I trust. They said it's definitely my kind of movie. So, Kelli also said she wants to run it by me. I do like picking apart like puzzle movies, like trying to pick up on subtleties and see if I can get ahead of it, that kind of fun shit. So yeah, I'll definitely be checking it out soon.
Sweet. Sounds like a good one. Well, definitely check it out if you get a chance. I haven't yet, but it does definitely sounds like one to look at, one to put into the old eyeball sockets. That is the Monolith, and you can rent it on Amazon Prime. But let's keep the train a chugging down the tracks. They are ruthless. Chris, what have you been watching, baby?
I watched a bunch of stuff, so I'm trying to decide on what to talk about. The first one I'm going to talk about is I have the extended version of Nightbreed, and I hadn't watched it since I had originally got it, which was like 10 years ago. It was like a double disc they had where they had the regular cut and what they call the Cabal cut, which is where I think it's like almost like 40 minutes longer. There is so much extra stuff packed into that movie. And, this is a movie I grew up on, always loving, but, it's always kind of been like a misunderstood kind of panned movie. It's made by Clive Barker. With all the extra footage in there, it definitely makes a lot more sense. It's definitely a lot more cohesive of a movie, but I loved it even more. There's a lot more good monster action in it. I'm sure we all know the story, a man's haunted by visions of this place filled with monsters, and he gets through a series of misfortunes set up to look like a criminal, gets murdered, and ends up being resurrected by these monsters and living there in a place called Midian. And then chaos kind of ensues from there. I think that's a really fresh take, this movie, because the monsters aren't actually the villains in it. They are more sympathetic, like anti-hero kind of thing, where they're kind of victims of their situation, and yeah, they do violent stuff and crazy stuff, but it's more like self-preservation. I really enjoyed it. Really cool to see David Cronenberg as an actor in a movie. I really enjoyed his murderous character in there, and he's got a really cool look. He's got like a mask with button eyes and a big trench coat and a knife. All in all, I would definitely recommend the Cabal cut of Nightbreed. I'm not sure what it's available on. I ended up buying, I think it was from Scream Factory, a big deluxe special edition that came out a long time ago. So I had pulled that out and watched it from my movie shelf. But I would give it 4.5 all day. Love me some Nightbreed.
Yeah, it looks like you can stream it on Peacock and Stars. I'm not sure if it's specifically the Cabal cut or not. But if you haven't seen Nightbreed, it's definitely something you need to watch. Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorite horror films of all time. And, it's just so smart, so well done. And it's kind of revolutionary, especially for the time that it came out. You never expect to see monsters being the heroes, or at least humans as the monsters, because they are a society living underground and they're not hurting anybody until the humans come and they interrupt their society. It's kind of an allegory for, a queer community. And I recognized it at an early age to be something different, something wonderful. I've always loved Nightbreed, and I was very excited when they first started talking about the footage that they had found and that they were going to put it back in. And I remember seeing a very, very, very rough cut of this at Horror Hound Weekend in Indianapolis. And it was cool that Clive Barker was there to explain this is a very rough cut because there were times when you couldn't hear dialogue. It was all grainy. It wasn't really enjoyable to watch, but I saw it in that form first. But then when it came out on Blu-ray, I needed to have it, and it's definitely something I'm happy to own because for the longest time, the only available copy was extremely cut and it wasn't enjoyable to watch. It wasn't even like the VHS copy I remembered as a kid. It was cut beyond that. But anyways, yeah, I would definitely give it 5 stars as well. And if you haven't seen it, watch it. Nightbreed's a classic. It's wonderful. One of Clive Barker's greatest films. Kelly, have you seen Nightbreed?
Yeah, I absolutely have. I don't think I've seen the Cabal cut though that Chris is talking about. I really don't think I have that, and I haven't seen this one in a while. But it's fucking fun. Like this one's all around fun. It's kind of light at time, but yeah, I love this movie. I don't know.
I don't know if I would call it light.
Light was a bad word. I don't know.
You might want to rewatch it.
It's good.
There's some intense shit in that. Yeah, like family murder.
I mean, light. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
People ripping their own faces off.
True. But yeah.
Well, in the meantime, let's keep this terror train a chugging along so we can get to 1988's The Blob. But first, I'm going to talk about a movie that I watched recently. It's a Polish movie about mermaids, killer mermaids, and there's a wacky doozy of a film. It was called The Lure. Lure. I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong because it's a tongue twister for me for some reason. But it came out in 2015. It's a drama, fantasy, horror film, and it's also a musical, which I didn't realize when I started it. I didn't want to shut it off because it is beautiful. It is a wild story. And, it's got some great gore, some great kills, some great violence. Basically, it's about in Warsaw, a pair of mermaid sisters are adopted into a cabaret. While one seeks love with humans, the other hungers to dine on the human population of the city. Well, shortly into the film, after they've been discovered and brought into the cabaret, the musical aspect of it starts. And now, if I didn't want to stay tuned at that point, I could have shut it off, but I didn't. I had to see it through just because it is a beautiful film. And I really liked how original and the idea of a mermaid subculture was. And it just really dug into it. It leaned into it, and it was really smart and really well done. I think if it wasn't a musical, I would have definitely given it a higher score. But as it was, I gave it 3 stars. And I think if you're into a fantasy musical horror movie about mermaids, this is definitely a film for you. But it wasn't necessarily my cup of tea, but I couldn't go lower than 3 stars because it is so beautiful and well done. But have either of you seen The Lure?
I think I have. I think I talked about it on the podcast that we used to do with Pondo.
You did.
I don't remember it being a musical though. Is this the one where he basically, the fisherman guy, like they find a mermaid and he cuts off her tail at one point, and then she's kind of in like an insane asylum? Was this that one?
She's never in an insane asylum, but there's a point where one of them cuts off her tail and exchanges it for legs, but she can't live that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is the mermaid movie that I talked about. I'm looking at the cover to it though, and it looks like it. Like it looks very fucking familiar. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe I've seen this one.
Chris, have you seen The Lure?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, if you're not into Polish musicals about killer mermaids, I would probably say skip it, but it is beautiful and it has some great gore. So 3 stars, and it's streaming on Max. And if you don't have Max, you can rent it on Prime Video for $3.99. But let's get going. Keep it going on down the tracks. Killer Kelly, Killer Kelly, paging Killer Kelly. What you got next for us,
Hello.
baby?
All right, the next one I'm going to talk about is the other Australian movie that I stumbled across on Shudder. This is this is a 2022 Bad Girl Boogie. It was by the same director that did So Vam. It's a very pro queer horror movie. This one follows a mask that basically causes anyone that's wearing it to kill people. I don't know. I like the concept of it a lot. It starts out on Halloween night. There's a bunch of kids. You can tell it's years ago. This is sometime in the past. There's a few kids. They're doing some sort of black magic like ceremony, and one of them kind of stumbles across this mask in a box, and puts it on, and the kids die, and shit happens. Years later, two girls. These two girls they're dating. They're trying to have a romantic night. This is probably like 20 years later or so. They're trying to have a romantic night together, and then somebody breaks into the house and kills one of them wearing the mask. So like the one girl, he's for some reason he's like set on trying to kill this girl again, or the other girl that survived, because he killed her girlfriend. And the tables kind of turn at one point, and basically she gets him, he becomes the victim, and she gets a hold of the mask. There's a whole thing behind it. I don't want to get too far into it, but I enjoyed this movie. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite. It was very montage heavy. There was one fucking montage where it was like, I swear to God, it was like a music video thrown into the middle of this fucking movie. I was just like, what the fuck? So I think that kind of like brought down the points to me on this. But I mean, there was some solid gore, some solid performances. I really liked like the vibe of it and the lighting in it. That was cool. There was some cheesy dialogue. I don't know. I'd give it a 2.5, 3. Like it's at least mediocre. I like I said, I think the montages really fucking ruined this one for me.
Where is Bad Girl Boogie streaming at?
Shudder. Bill Moseley is also in this one.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, check out Bad Girl Boogie on Shudder. 2.5, 3 stars. Have you seen Bad Girl Boogie, Ruthless Chris?
I have not. Never even heard of this.
It's on your want to watch list on Letterboxd. When I rated it, I was
maybe I add to my list and I do want to watch it. I don't know. It just wasn't ringing any bells. Maybe if I saw the cover art or something.
Yeah, baby.
Well, I really
Calling
do
me
like
out,
the
bro.
title of it. The title is a really cool title.
Yeah.
And everything you said sounds interesting, except for being so montage heavy.
Yeah.
But 2.5, 3 stars, and if it's streaming on a service that I already have, it's definitely worth a watch.
I also read there was only like a $13,000 budget on this, but I think they did pretty good for what they had on that. So that was
very, very cool. You always appreciate the smaller budget film doing bigger things, or at least getting talked about. But we're going to keep the train a chugging, choo choo, so that we can get to 1988's remake of The Blob. Ruthless Chris, let's talk about what you've been watching, baby.
The next one I watched just hit Shudder. It's a brand new movie called First Contact by Bruce Wempler, 2023. This is kind of run-of-the-mill alien fare. I kind of went in with high hopes because, Shudder has a tendency to vet their stuff a little better than some streaming companies. But I found this to be like really, really run-of-the-mill, really kind of paint my numbers. The acting was not great. The special effects were just okay. Wasn't a lot of alien action. It was more of a body horror possession kind of thing until the aliens showed up. And then the aliens looked like Swamp Thing with 4 red eyes. But what you had is there's like a scientist who is studying the Earth and space and all this stuff, and he disappears, and his kids kind of come to his old ranch and homestead and find that, he's got this computer with all this research, and he was looking into some sort of alien disturbance or otherworldly disturbance. And, alien shenanigans ensue from there. The thing that really took me out of this movie was, like, not a lot of stuff happened, but also the acting felt very like high school theater. It didn't look bad, like it was shot well, but like the acting was so bad. I can't, in good conscience, recommend this. I was mildly entertained by the ending of it, but I was pretty much bored throughout. But because it was shot well, it was competently film made and had a good soundtrack, and there's some cool special effects moments. I gave it 2. That's just a low 2, though. I wouldn't watch it if you're in the mood for some alien stuff, but don't really know what else to watch, I guess.
Fair enough. It sounds like you watched this one, so we don't have to. So salute to you, Ruthless Chris. Killer Kelly, have you heard about this First Contact movie?
I think I've seen it pop up, like suggested to me while I was digging for movies, but no, I have not seen it.
Gotcha. Well, I'm not very big into alien movies, and since you watch it, you said it's a 2-star. I think I will skip it. So thank you for your service, sir. I'll buy you lunch next time. I'll give you a free
that was a
coffee
generous
there
2 stars.
at Mickey D's. But anyway, I'm going to keep the train chugging along, and I'm going to talk about a movie that I just watched. It is 2001's Maurice Devereaux's Slashers. This was a wild ride because I remember seeing the DVD for this at Virgin Megastore when it first came out in 2001, and the artwork looked horrible. And I remember that Fangoria was distributing these really crappy shot on video films that were not good at all. So like I passed on it. I didn't even think about it. Well, just recently, TerraVision re-released it, on a collector's edition Blu-ray. And they also re-edited a trailer, which made it look amazing. So when I was at their store, Graveface Records here in Chicago, I had to pick it up. Now, if you're not familiar with the movie Slashers, it's a modern 80s slasher in which 6 lucky contestants appear on a game show where they face off against slashers in a house of homicidal maniacs to win millions of dollars. All contestants have to do is survive the night. I really like this because it felt like very topical, especially for 2001, because there's a reality show and it was supposed to take place in Japan. So it felt also like very in common with those Sushi Typhoon movies where there's over the top gore and super offensive and ridiculous. But, the way that media is going, I wouldn't see this as being totally out of the realm of possibilities. I liked it. I liked it more than I thought I would. And I actually wanted to like it more. And I think if it had a bigger budget, I would have loved it because for me, it felt like it's very self-conscious. It very, very much knew what it was. And in that fact, it reminded me of, what was it? Rise of Leslie Vernon, Behind the Mask.
Behind the Mask, Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Yes,
I love that movie.
like just for the fact that it's very self-aware, it reminded me of that film. It's talking about the rules and so on and so forth, and then that it's based on a reality show, and that it's shot from the cameraman's point of view, and like they can hear the spooky music that indicates that a slasher is on the way. I thought it was really smart. I don't know. I wish that I had bought this sooner. I wish that I watched it sooner. I don't think it's streaming anywhere, but it's definitely worth a watch if you're into picking up physical media. It's available from TerraVision on Collector's Edition Blu-ray, and that's 2001 Slashers. I give it 3.5 stars. Have either of you seen or heard of this movie?
I think I heard of it, but I haven't seen it, no.
Yeah, I saw it. I thought it was fun for what it was. It definitely didn't take itself too seriously, and
Let me look.
it reminded me of a not as fun version of God, I'm trying to think of the name now. the one with the serial killer support group where the kid actually finds his way in there.
Oh, Vicious Fun, right?
Vicious Fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely
Yeah.
has kind of its root set in there, but it's not as fun as Vicious Fun. I think Vicious Fun is a much better version of this. But yeah, it definitely had some cool ideas and trying to like play around some different interesting things. It definitely didn't take itself too seriously. The gore was fun. So, I mean, I'd recommend it. I'd probably give it 3.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got one more round of talking about what we've been watching before we get to 1988's Blob remake. So, Killer Kelli Miller, what you been watching, baby?
The next one I watched, I went back to 1988 with Dream Demon. This one's on Shudder. This is a British movie. This is a fun one. This was a really fun one. I really enjoyed it. It's silly, you know. It follows a young bride. She's about to be buried, and she keeps having these crazy ass dreams where they're really intense. She can't tell her dreams from reality. In a lot of reviews I read, people were saying this is like the British answer to Nightmare on Elm Street, which I didn't exactly see that. I think the only thing that makes them similar are some of the aspects where you can't tell the dreams from reality, you know? But I think other than that, that's the only thing that they have in common. Yeah, so this girl must be like famous or something. At one point she's asked, but she's like, no, my dad's just rich. But it's like she has all these like paparazzi and shit following her at her new flat that she lives in that she moved in with her fiance. She had a dream they were at the opening scene at this. She has a dream that she's at the altar and basically just like rips his head off and is covered in blood. So you know right away what kind of movie it's about to be. You know, it's a good time. So yeah, these journalists are chasing her all of a sudden, and then there's this girl Jenny that comes to the same house. She's from LA. She's trying to figure out her past. She was adopted, and she thinks she grew up in that house. So she's going to the house to try to figure out her past. And this is all connected eventually in what was her name? I think it's Diana. Diana's dreams. I don't know. I thought I had a lot of fun with this movie. I watched it as I was going to bed the other night. It just kept me up. Like, it was a good time. I didn't actually fall asleep to this one like I do a lot of movies, even if I do like them. But this one was just, it was fun. A lot of fun visuals. It was surreal at times. There were some fantastic practical effects. And of course, they were practical effects for the year it was made in like 1988. It had a lot of like similar camera work to like Hammer Horror, I noticed in some parts. But it's probably maybe like being a British movie with the influence. I can definitely see that. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of it, it's weird as shit at times, and most of it really, it's just like her trying to figure out reality or dreams, and then like the dreams are kind of like spilling into reality a little. I don't know. I highly recommend this one though. I give it like 3.5. Apparently, Arrow just released not just, but recently released a Blu-ray version of this. So yeah, check it out. It's worth a watch for sure.
Very cool. That sounds like something I remember maybe seeing the VHS cover as a kid, but I never picked up. I maybe think of something similar with a similar title, but that sounds really good. And you said it's streaming on Shudder?
Yep. I think you'd like it.
Very cool. Have you seen this one, Chris?
I haven't. No, I've been interested. Oh wait, no, yeah, I've seen this. I'm sorry. Yeah, I've totally seen this. I just don't remember shit about it. I remember it was fun. She asked me about it.
Yeah.
She's like, should I watch this? And I was like, yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I remember it being fun, but I don't remember a lot of what she was just talking about. So
that's basically what it is. Like that's the best way to sum up this movie. It's just fun. You know, very gory. There's a lot of gore. Yeah.
Well, all right. 88 Dream Demon. Check it out. It's on Shudder, and it sounds like a fun, gory time. Ruthless Chris, one more time before we get to 1988's The Blob.
So I'm not gonna bore you guys by talking about Wolf, because I did just rewatch fucking Wolf with Jack Nicholson recently, and boy, oh boy, has that piece of shit not aged well. But what I am going to talk about is a new movie that I did really, really enjoy and would recommend. This is Satanic Hispanics.
I've been wanting to watch this.
Shudder. This is an anthology made by all Latino filmmakers. So you got Alejandro Burgess, you got Mike Mendez, Gigi Salguero, Eduardo Sanchez, who made like Blair Witch and Exists and all that, and Damien Rugna, who we all know from When Evil Lurks and Terrified.
Nice.
This is one hell of an anthology. I'll tell you what, these guys knocked it the fuck out the park. It's really fun. It's got a really cool wraparound story that like brings the whole thing together in the end. All the stories kind of have their own voice but work together. And one of the things I really liked about it is the vignettes like ramp up in craziness as they go. So that feels like there's like this natural progression as it goes through. And there's, I mean, it's a variety of things. You got gods and demons and monsters and ghost stories and all kinds of stuff. So supernatural horror and zombie stuff. There's a really kind of funny one with a vampire on Halloween who everyone thinks he's in a Halloween costume that kind of reminds me like a little bit of a super bloody version of What We Do in Shadows, because it has like a really good sense of humor to it. And the guy that they got to play the vampire, he's like kind of hamming it up. He's got like the fucking the $10 cape from like Halloween store and like a frilly shirt. And like if you saw this guy at Halloween, you're like, he's just a bad vampire costume, but he's a real vampire. So there's a lot of really fun ideas. The only thing I could think might be turn people off is a lot of stories have subtitles, but that doesn't really bother me. I don't mind reading the movie because some of the stuff is all in Spanish. And then the first story, I believe, switches back and forth because the guy is trying to learn English. And he's taking classes, so he'll be talking to his sister in English, then jump over to Spanish, and she'll yell at him to jump back and what have you. The gore is really great in this. There is some super impressive special effects, especially in two of the stories. One with like this ancient god, where I don't know how they pulled it off with the budget they had. All around, like this thing just knocks it out the park. I thought it was really fun, funny, terrifying at times. It really was a full buffet, but with a very Latino voice to it. Like everything was definitely rooted in their love for their culture. So yeah, I would definitely recommend Satanic Hispanics. I gave that thing 4.5. I think it's going to be a brand new cult classic, and this thing just hit Shudder, so anybody can watch it.
Very, very cool. Yeah, that's one I've been looking forward to check out. So I'll have to put it in my eyeballs. Killer Kelly, have you seen Satanic Hispanics?
No, but I've definitely been waiting to check this out. I'll probably watch it after we're done recording. Yeah, I love me a good anthology, especially if there's a good wraparound story that brings them all together. I love that shit. Yes, definitely going to check this one out for sure.
All right. Well, there you go. If you've got Shudder, definitely check out Satanic Hispanics. And I've got one more movie to talk about before we get to 1988's remake of The Blob. And I'm going to talk about a movie that isn't necessarily horror. Me. It is a movie that I just recently watched that definitely has horror elements to it. And at first, I saw the length of it. I was like, 2 hours and 20 minutes. Holy guacamole. I'm not watching that thing. But is one of those movies that as soon as you start it, the time flies by because it's so good. This is 2023's Poor Things. Now, if you don't know anything about Poor Things, it's the incredible tale about a fantastical evolution of Bella Baxter, a young woman brought back to life by brilliant and unorthodox scientist Dr. Goodwin Baxter. Yes, this movie is not necessarily horror. It's comedy, it's drama, it's romance, but it has horror elements in it that, there's a brain being cut up in one scene. There's a scene where the main character, Bella Baxter, is stabbing a cadaver in the eyes with a scalpel and laughing about it. There's, the main character, Bella Baxter, is the way she is because when she killed herself, the doctor found her, took the baby that was inside of her, put the baby's brain in her head. So, I mean, it's kind of a Frankenstein story there. But this thing is so beautiful and so wildly imaginative, too, that it came across as something between, like, David Lynch meets Terry Gilliam. It's gorgeous, and everybody acts like Emma Stone is amazing in this. She deserves every recognition that she gets. Willem Dafoe, Mark Ruffalo, everybody is amazing in this film. The whole cast, the cinematography. I can't praise Poor Things enough. And if you don't like artful cinema, you should pass on it. If you don't like strange cinema, you should pass on it. Me, I love all those things. You know, it's Alejandro Jodorowsky, it is David Lynch, it is Terry Gilliam. It's all those wonderful things. Now, if you're familiar with Yorgos Lanthimos, I'm sure I mispronounced that, films, he also did Killing of a Sacred Deer, The Lobster, Dogtooth.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is his wheelhouse, just making bizarre cinema that is thought provoking and will stick with you for a long time after you see it. It is now streaming on Hulu, and you can rent it on Amazon Prime for $5.99. I definitely highly suggest watching Poor Things. I give it 5 stars. Have either of you seen Poor Things?
I have. I was debating talking about today myself. I actually opted out because I saw your post and I kind of figured I knew you were going to be talking about it. Movies like this are made directly for me, I think. Anything that is kind of fascinating visually and like in its own world, like this definitely, like you talked about Terry Gilliam, like this almost feels like this guy's version of Brazil, done by Frankenstein. Everything in the world is its own. It's very steampunk, there's so many little things you could pick up just in the backgrounds of scenes, and he just sprinkles so much set dressing and so much imagination into everything. Like, I knew what kind of movie I was in for, and I think it was like one of the first couple scenes where you're first introduced to Bella, and the scientist leaves, and she's upset because he's leaving, and she goes to the door, starts pounding on it, and was clearly like a bulldog body with a duck head comes rolling up in the background, just like the house pet. And I was like, all right, this is gonna be entertaining. It's hypersexual. It's very violent at times. Super imaginative. The fact that this got Oscar buzz and was talked about, and was nominated for Best Picture this year blows my mind, because I think movies like this often get panned for being so weird. And this is definitely a weird fucking movie. And it is a mild version of Frankenstein. I see some Henenlotter in this. I've seen people compare it to like has shades of Frankenhooker. I totally see that. And honestly, I think it was really brave of Emma Stone, everything she did in this movie, because in the hands of a lesser actress, the way that she had to evolve her character and how dim-witted she started out could have really come off as hammy and cheesy and shitty. But she handled it really well, and she had to do some really intense sexual stuff, which is not normally what she ever does in movies. I don't think she's ever done anything like this before. I can't gush enough about this movie. I also really enjoy Mark Ruffalo as an actor, and Willem Dafoe is always great. I loved the makeup choices they did with him, the way they made his face look. I could gush about this movie for hours. I love the shit out of it. I give it 5 stars as well.
Wow.
This is probably a movie I watched several times in my lifetime, just to kind of gather all, not just the story pieces, but like when I was said, like all the stuff they hide in the background and all the little set designs and salt and pepper they put into this thing,
Kelly, have you seen Poor Things?
Not yet, but after both of you guys' review, like scratch Satanic Hispanics, I think I'm watching this one tonight.
long.
Like,
You'll be
yeah.
up late.
All right,
Like
well,
2
yeah.
hours and 20 minutes, I think. But it
Yeah,
flies by.
I seen that both of you guys watched this, and I see that you watched Satanic Hispanic, so I knew you guys were both gonna talk. Like, these two movies were gonna be talked about tonight, and that's why I put off watching it. But yep, these are two things I will be watching in the very near future.
Fair
Can
enough.
I jump in?
Yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
anytime.
I normally don't jump in, but I actually, ironically, my wife put this on yesterday. And while this is not my cup of tea, At times, I was very like confused and also bored. Emma Stone's acting was tremendous. The pacing of the film was very interesting. Seeing the development of Emma Stone's character, being and basically learning as a child develops, and you see them grow up in front of your eyes. So is her from the child brain to an adult body. Was a fascinating premise, and as you guys mentioned, it was a retelling of the monster of Frankenstein tale. So, for even someone who doesn't dabble too much in this world, it was still fascinating, and I can see why it got so many awards from the Oscars. So, I just want to add my 2 cents on this.
Did this win any Oscars? I did not watch the Oscars yet. I know it was nominated for a bunch of stuff. I know it didn't win Best Picture.
It did not get Best Picture. Oppenheimer cleaned house, but
I figured
it is they got from best costuming. Emma Stone got for Best Actress.
Nice.
They got a couple other ones for design, I think, and not director, obviously, because that one also went to Oppenheimer, I believe. But they got a lot of other awards as well.
Producer
Very,
Peapod.
very cool. Well, the man behind the curtain, producer Peapod, always also gives a good rating to Poor Things, which, you don't hear often from Peapod, so it's an important film to watch.
No, he never jumps in on movies.
In the meantime, it's about that time to break forth with the rhythm and the rhyme, which is 1988's remake of The Blob. Blah, 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 blob.
And now for our feature presentation.
Oh my goodness gracious gravy. This is a movie. This is a movie that is fun. It is wacky. It's campy. And also, there is a lot of Easter eggs in this. I just rewatched it today to kind of get a feeling for it, make sure that I knew what I was talking about. And boy, oh boy, what a fun freaking movie. And I remember when it came out, I was about 10 years old, and it wasn't... I didn't see the movie, of course, but the trailer alone scared me so badly because it's all these melting faces, and they only showed one of them in the trailer that was on TV, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't watch it when it first came out. It was just too terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, chime in anytime. Your thoughts on 1988's remake of The Blob.
Okay, when I was a small child, my headphone just died. Yeah, so when I was a small child, this movie scared the fucking piss out of me. It was between this and Creepshow 2, The Raft. I probably went into this before on this podcast. I'm sure I have. How, most kids are scared of shit like clowns and aliens and shit. I was afraid of fucking blobs. And it is 50-50 due to this movie and Creepshow 2. Afraid to go to the bathroom, afraid to get near sink drains, because in this movie it's the blob is basically living in the fucking sewers. But yeah, I was terrified to be on those rafts and ponds. I was terrified of blobby oil slick looking drains. Yeah, that was my biggest fear as a small child. Blobs. Thank you, the blob. But a lot of it was those scenes that Germ was talking about, with the face melting, especially one of the probably the second death in the movie where the girl goes into the room and the guy's on the ceiling and is you can just see it stretching over his face. Yeah, that scared the fucking shit out of me when I was a kid.
How about you, Chris? What are your initial feelings about 1988's The Blob?
The Blob holds a very special place in my heart. This is one of those ones. I was very much a video store kid when I was young. There was one I could bike to, and they'd let me rent whatever I want, no matter how young I was. They just didn't fucking give a shit. And I got I bought used a copy of the Blob when I was really young, so I saw this probably way too young. And it fucked me up. One of the things people don't remember about this movie is just how fucking intense and gory it can be. Like there is body melts, like full body melts, and there's that scene where that woman gets smashed in the telephone booth, and the way they cut that together, like you can't see where the transition to her to puppet is, and you just think that this poor woman just got mushed the fuck up. It looked great. It has some of my favorite tropes in it, like in the 80s. If you want somebody to be a bad boy, you give them a motorcycle, a leather jacket, and a mullet, and you already know that they're just trouble, because they did the same thing in Twin Peaks and everything else. I think Kevin Dillon's kind of funny just to watch act in almost anything.
Yeah.
Like we all know his brother's the real actor of the bunch, but he's like a good solid B movie actor, and I think he kind of leaned into that in his role in Entourage, if anyone's ever actually seen that. But yeah, this is like 100% my style of movie. I love body melts. I love blobs and globs and pus and all kinds of fucking slimes. Loved this movie. Yeah. It's a classic.
Intergalactic fucking government conspiracy with motorcycle chases with the kids sneaking into the movie theater and getting in trouble. And yeah, it's got all the best 80s tropes.
Well, yeah, it even has like the little kid who never takes his Walkman off. He's in the movie theater. He's in there jamming to his Walkman while watching the movie. But one of the things I did realize while watching this today, anyone remember that old, that mid-90s Ben Affleck movie, Phantoms?
No.
The whole
I remember the name.
You most likely remember because it was a running joke in the Kevin Smith movies where it's Affleck was the bomb and Phantoms, though. Like where there's
that is what it was.
Complimenting Phantoms. And I'll tell you what, the setup for Phantoms, the first half of that movie is genuinely wonderfully creepy, and then it just goes off the rails in the second half. But what I'm realizing is the second half of Phantoms is a very bad knockoff of the second half of The Blob. When the CDC gets involved and there's, the guys in the hazmat suits and, the blobs going in the thing. But in Phantoms, it was more of like this oil slick thing that was full of jewelry it had digested from people. Yeah.
I'm going to watch that.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of films, even though this is supposed to be a remake. And, to be quite honest, I know that I've seen the original Blob, but I don't see that this is like a direct remake. There seems to be like this is more of a reimagining almost, because if you're not familiar with the Blob, or at least 1988's The Blob, it's about a deadly entity from space crash lands near a small town and begins consuming everyone in its path. Panic ensues as a shady government scientist try to contain the horrific creature. So it's basically a monster movie at its core, but also it has that conspiracy level. It also has comedy. It also has so many different layers that it's amazing to watch. One of my favorite things about it is that it's directed by Chuck Russell. Now, if you're not familiar with the name Chuck Russell, he directed my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie a year prior to this, which was Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. So this guy knows how to deal in the fantastical. He knows how to keep it creepy, but he knows how to also make people laugh so that you get that 1-2 punch. You laugh, you let your guard drop, and then he hits you with that incredible gore, those incredible practical effects that are over the top, because the gore, like Chris was saying, and like Kelly was saying, the gore in this, the effects are so amazing. These practical effects are great. And I know that a lot of lower budget movies in the 80s probably use similar gore effects, bodies melting, faces exploding, bodies crumbling onto themselves. But this is the first time that I can think of where they put something like this on the big screen to a wide market. And I think that it did really well because it was so over the top and so incredible to watch. There's so many Easter eggs in this film too, which I think is incredible. Besides, being a remake, it also, Frank Darabont is one of the writers. And now if you're familiar with Frank Darabont, he's most well known for doing cinematic interpretations of Stephen King books. And before there was any sort of miniseries done on uh, not The Shining, but The Stand,
Damn.
he interpreted The Stand quite well in this movie, The Blob. There are definitely lots of notes of The Stand, and I think that is an incredible thing to think about. You guys, have you read or seen the miniseries The Stand?
I
I've done
think I
both.
started them. I'm sorry. We both started going at the same time. Proceed.
Good.
I started them. I did not finish that series. I think I got maybe like 3 or 4 episodes in.
So The Stand was the very first Stephen King book I've ever read, and I was way too young, and it was a long fucking book. Somehow I had gotten a copy of it. I mean, this thing was like a couple thousand pages, and I remember it had like this red gold foil cover, and it had like a black dude or black knight like sword fighting a white knight, but they were like shapes of. But I read it in 4th grade, and then I saw the adaptation that you're talking about. Loved that. Did not care at all for the newest Idris Elba version they did with Dark Tower. And I haven't seen they really recently remade the actual Stand as a series, and I haven't seen that one. I remember watching the one from the 90s, I believe it was. It was late 80s, early 90s. It was 90s, I believe.
But did you see how Frank Darabont incorporated ideas from The Stand into this film?
Yeah, 100%. And talking about Chuck Russell, and how he's good at gore but also humor. I mean, the guy also made the fucking Mask. I mean, he's like got a really strange, eclectic thing of movies. And then like in the last 10 years, he's made nothing but like straight to bottom shelf DVD crime films with like Travolta and Bruce Willis, which is sad to see that, he went from this cool background to this. But one of the other things that I really liked about this movie is that they played with some interesting tropes that I noticed this time around that I didn't notice. Like the one teenager is set up to be the main character in this movie. And for the first act, he is. And then by the time they get to the hospital, they just melt that son of a bitch off, and he's just the fuck out of the movie. And they shift a secondary character who is set up as a secondary character, which is Kevin Dillon's character, as one of the main characters. And I thought that was an interesting thing that you don't really see at the time, because you were following these high school kids at first. It was him and his really rapey buddy who had like the most heinous rape kit in his trunk I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
what the fuck?
Like, well, that did not age well.
This had that similarity, not to cut in real quick, but this had that similarity again to Creep Show 2, like the rapey dude on the fucking like raft, same type of rapey guy. Anyway, go on.
This dude had a full bar in his trunk, and like these promise rings and like all this shit. And he was getting the girl drunk so he could like take advantage of her, and luckily he gets super melted. But those guys are set up to be the duo you think you're going to follow through the whole time. And, they set Kevin Dillon up to be the bad boy who's probably going to save the day in the end. But in these types of movies, usually that guy's still a secondary character that comes in and helps them when they think that, he's like his piece of shit in the beginning. So I thought it was really cool. They messed with that trope. Also, one of the other things is they really just don't make movies like this where there is really no let up once it gets going. I mean, this thing is all go, and you forget just how many impressive set pieces there are. One of the few things they did bring over from the original was the movie theater scene. But, there's a scene where, the whole practical effects is the whole fucking ceiling is the blob, and there's melted people hanging out of it, and their faces are contorting. It moves into tendrils by the end of it. It is massive, and it's just swooping up people. And there's giant set pieces in this thing, like grand, big set pieces in this thing. Like, I think people really only remember the movie theater scene, and they don't remember the ice truck scene and, like the apocalyptic had taken over the city. And also, I forgot that end scene at the end where it will like set up pretty much the apocalypse. I completely forgot about that.
Yep. I also
Sorry, I
forgot
was
about that
ranting.
scene with the no. That rant was great. Like you said, a lot of things that I was already like thinking. But yes, I also forgot about that scene until I rewatched it today. Like, dude, because it's we can give the spoilers, but it's the ice that ultimately ends up killing or at least stopping the blob because it melts into these weird little like rock crystals and shit. And then it cuts to that one dude at the end who's like, must have thawed out because the thing that he had in the little jar was moving around. Like they easily could have made. Did they make a part two?
There's
Ever?
a Beware the Blob, but I
Ah,
haven't seen it.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll see it when we go to Blob Fest. Kelly and I are talking about going to Blob Fest this year.
somewhere near
Well,
Philly.
Beware of the Blob. Well, they didn't do a remake of that, did they?
I think they did. I
Because
think it
that's
might have been
like a
Sci-Fi
70s
Channel
film.
original.
Because this one does straight up set you up for a sequel. Either a
Right.
sequel or, like Chris said, the apocalypse.
Right, because Beware the Blob came out in 1972, and if you've seen Beware the Blob, it is really, really, really bad. But like so bad, it's fun to watch, and you can laugh and joke about it with your friends. It's kind of like The Room, but a Blob movie. If you haven't seen Beware the Blob and you want a bad movie to laugh at,
Yeah, you're
that
right.
is definitely one to watch. But
I
I don't
have
think
not
I don't
seen
think it's
that.
a sequel to the 1988 film.
No, I had saw. So now in looking it up, I see where the confusion came from. They made a re-release with a modern cover, and when I was perusing through info, I saw that, and I must have assumed that was more of a because it looks like a Shutter or like a sci-fi original kind of cover.
I think it's funny that you mentioned how that the hero is introduced and that he's killed off right away because Chuck Russell actually stole that from Alfred Hitchcock and deliberately did that so that the audience, when they're watching it, is like, well, if he could die, anybody could die. I thought that's really interesting fact. The things, and then the other. There's so many different Easter eggs in this because while Paul is meant as the Steve McQueen misdirect and Brian is offered as the bad boy alternative, according to Chuck Russell, Shawnee Smith is ultimately the Steve McQueen character, if there is one, because that Steve McQueen character in the original is supposed to be the hero, right? And that it's such a wonderful turn. There's so many twists and turns. It's such a great film, and I can't believe that there are still people out there that probably don't give this one a second look. You know what I mean? They just think of it as a hokey, jokey type
Remake.
film when they can't appreciate the practical effects. They can't appreciate the subtext, or even the fun, just the fun of it, because it is a
It is
wild
fun.
ride. And I highly suggest the Blob to anybody that hasn't seen it, and it's
Yeah.
streaming on Tubi. Tubi, of course. Did you guys see it on Tubi?
Yup.
Absolutely. I want to buy a copy of this. Like this is I'm going to give my rating now. This is a 5-star movie for me, not only because of the nostalgia for my childhood, but just all around. It's an all around perfect horror movie in my opinion. Like it's got great gore, it's got a great story, it keeps you immersed in it from the beginning to end. It doesn't fucking slow down one bit from the beginning to end. For the second that comet looks like it comes through, the shit is like just full on. And yeah, 5-star movie for me all day.
Yeah. Personally, I think that this thing's kind of a masterpiece. I think, especially in terms of special effects, this should be looked at the same way that people look at The Thing because it is all these really inventive, crazy practical effects that are almost kind of in the same wheelhouse. And in fact, I think there's probably more in this movie than there were in The Thing. The Thing may have more interesting and technically proficient ones, but some of the stuff they pulled off with this fucking Blob was really incredible.
Yeah.
I think this is a modern classic. It's probably one of the best remakes out there. Definitely needs to get more love. I'm really glad that we decided to cover this on here. I couldn't recommend it enough. Everyone go watch the fucking Blob, man. I said, Kelly and I are talking about going to Blob Fest this year. They do a festival every year at the theater they filmed it at, and they show all the Blob movies, and they're also showing Creature from the Black Lagoon in 3D and something else. But all the restaurants are all blob themed and everything's blob themed in the area. So we're like, fuck it, let's go check it out.
A lot of people dress in like 50s style, like more in the theme of the original one. I think it sounds great. We talked about it last year, didn't go, but we should definitely go this year if we can swing it.
Hey, we talked about going to Punxsutawney last year and didn't go. We went this year, so let's keep the train rolling on fun and go to Blobfest.
Fuck yeah.
Well, absolutely. Let's encourage our listeners to watch 1988's The Blob, especially since it's streaming for free on Tubi. Yeah, I give it 4.5 stars, 5 from Killer Kelli. How many stars did you give this bad boy, Chris?
5 all day. This is 100% my type of movie.
5, 4.5. You're not going to get too much of a better rating than that. And it's streaming for free. So, if you haven't seen it, you got to see it. This is the movie that gave Shawnee Smith the career she has anyway. She got cast in the Saw movies originally because the directors of that, Lee Winnell and James Wan, loved her so much in 1988's The Blob. So that's just one extra reason why you should be watching The Blob from 1988. It's an amazing film, lots of practical effects, great gore, great laughs, intense and fun. Anyways, we can't talk too much longer about how great this film is. You guys got any final words about 1988's The Blob, or just in general that you'd like to share with the people out there in real Violand?
Yeah, definitely go check out The Blob. And if you want to check out the original, the 1958 one's a really fun, great watch too. And that's on HBO Max right now. So if you got HBO Max, you can go watch that. And apparently Beware the Blob is on Plex. So if you want to go see that cheesy goodness, there's a lot of Blob action out there for you. And if you want some extra fun, go watch Phantoms, because I saw a lot of goddamn parallels. So yeah, go watch some stuff with slimes, goops, and globules.
Hell yeah, man. Get into some slimes, some blobs, some oil slicks, some melting faces. Yeah.
And on that note, I'd like to say, keep it gloopy, keep it globby, keep it blobby, and keep it real vile forever. God bless America and send nudes. Ow!